Welcome back, everybody. This is Sean McAfee. We are back at Richardson at Breckenridge Park doing a little bit of Turbo Velo crit racing. This is racing local here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Really thankful to be back again racing another crit. I got a first line call up for the week. Moving all the way to the front row since I got 6th place the week prior. So I got right up there at the very front. I didn't know how to do things. I've never had a call up in a race before. Most of the races I participate in are usually longer endurance style races and don't have call ups. The Timbra races I don't participate in enough of to get a call up there, so it was really just show up and do my thing. So I didn't know how to pace this thing from the front of this race. Do I nail it from the start and do like a cyclocross or a Zwift style start where it's just a full out sprint from the gun for about 30 seconds to a minute, string things out, see what happens? Or do I sit in, wait for somebody else to kind of set the tempo, and then just kind of find my way in the group? I chose option number 2. I decided to sit in, let things kind of play out around me, find my spot, and just kind of get comfortable. And I think it was probably a mistake. There was just no separation early. It was a fairly large group, and it stayed a pretty large group. And it just didn't make me feel very comfortable sitting in this larger group. So that is a lesson learned there. I think it's if I get that front row call up, maybe next time I pin it from the gun, give it a minute, pretty hard effort, and then see who I can't pull along with me. Because I would really, I am not an FTP rider. I am not a guy that's going to be jumping off the front and holding it for 20 minutes straight. That is not me, not my riding style. I am a very weak 3.6 to 3.8 watts per kilogram for 20 minutes, and that is basically that's the best I can do. I just don't have that kind of sustained power, but I've got really good punch, and that's where I am going to do my best work is with a smaller group, taking turns. If I can hold that 3.6 to 3.8 in a small group that is pulling at 4.5 to 5 watts per kilogram on the front, but then getting 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes in between of rest in between my pulls, that's a place where I will excel. I can absolutely hold that. I do that pretty commonly and frequently for Zwift team time trials. So anyway, that's how this week started off. Last week, I'm going to make an apology to Jason Bradbury because last week he went on a first lap absolute flyer from the gun, and I called him out and said, not a threat. Well, spoiler alert, he goes on to pick up like 4th place this week, so he's a threat. Bradbury's a threat. At least a threat to me, because I did awful this week. So far, so good. I'm doing a good job of positioning, keeping it nice and inside the lines. If you see the wind icon up at the front, I'm doing a good job of staying on the right side of the peloton, staying out of the wind. But things are going to change around lap number 6 or 7. So things are stringing out pretty significantly here on lap number 2, and I'm about to get a little nervous and make myself move up. I should not have found myself this far back, but I also, hindsight being 2020, I should have been a little bit more confident that this group is going to all come back together, because it does. And I put out a smoke load of power here going over 1,000 watts to shoot up this line, and really it's all still together. I don't have anything to really be that concerned about. If I would have just been patient, this whole group would have come back together, and I would have, it would have been fine. So I am out in the wind right here, but again, this is me forcing myself to move way up the group, and I probably should have been more patient right there. So that's mistake number one that I made this week. As a brief little bit of a recap, so week number one that I went out there, I was a complete moron. Everything that I could have done wrong, I did wrong. It was a terrible, terrible showing for me. I just made all the mistakes. The United team, which there's one of those United guys right there, but the United team went out that first week I was there, put on an absolute clinic, landed 3 guys, 1, 2, and 3 on the podium, and they absolutely dominated that race using a bunch of team tactics. I, having been my first crit race in 6-7 years, went out there and just made a lot of just dumb rookie mistakes. And I really should have been more patient in week number 1. So week number 2 that I went out there? Week number 2, there's Bradbury right there. And speaking of week number 2, that's when he went on his 1-lap flyer. But week number 2, I was very patient. I forced other people to close gaps. I sat in, did not pull. I mean, I was so patient, and it really turned out well. I sat in the group and waited, and I ended up picking up 6th place. I think I would have gotten on the podium had I not gotten blocked in the sprint, but 6th place is really pretty good. Again, I'm just out here trying to learn about positioning and how to not suck. And I think I did a good job of that the second week I was out there. This week, week number 3, spoiler alert, we are back to sucking. We absolutely suck this week. So, just have a lot to learn still. I think that there's probably, there were some good things I did in week number 3, but I just got completely shelled too late in the game. And I don't know if my legs were tired. I've been racing a lot, both on Zwift and in real life, so maybe my legs are just a little bit tired. I don't really know. But I feel like this last week, this was April the 30th, I feel like I absolutely sucked. So again, this in this week's race, things really stayed together a lot. Behind me, the whole group is basically still intact. I think we may have dropped 3 or 4 people, but for the most part, everybody is still just one big line of folks. Every time we go into the headwind, it does bunch up a little bit, and I just found myself being nervous in a 4-5 group with a lot of new riders. About how people are taking corners and just being stuck in the middle of that field. So I got a little bit, I'll say scared, but I don't think that's the right word. I got a little bit anxious. It's probably a better word about where I was located in the pack. And I really, here in a minute, I'm just going to go nuts. And it was way too early. I think we had 4 laps to go still when I do that. So, lesson learned. Be a little bit more patient still. So last week I mentioned that we had won our Zwift Racing League championship. I still do not have my really cool ZRL, Zwift Racing League helmet that we win for being champions there. I'm really disappointed that I don't have that yet. It's been like 2 to 3 weeks. Come on, Zwift. And now they're raising the price and charging $5 more. This is BS. I want my helmet, guys. I want my helmet. Give me my virtual swag.
Inside.
So I guess 2 days prior to this on Sunday, so the race here, we're watching at Turbo Velo. That's on Tuesday. On Sunday, I went out and did the Timbra single speed race out at 4R Ranch in Munster, and I won that. Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of racing. A lot of racing on all sorts of different types of bikes. Gravel bike, mountain bike, single speed, crit bike, Zwift racing bike.
Don't touch it!
Yeah, this week I'm on a rest break, taking a little bit of time off, even though my volume has actually gone up this week. But the intensity is way down. Way down. So that's a good thing, I think. There's a party boy, Ben Summers, Spicy Party Boys racing team. I love that guy and his dad and his whole family just races together, and they're really pretty cool family there. So I really enjoy old Ben Summers, the real Ben Summers on Instagram. So things got a little spicy right here. I mean, you can see there's 20 people in front of me, it looks like, just about. And I was pushing 500, still pushing 500 watts there for a second. Definitely got a little on the spicy side. So for this race, I think my normalized power ended up being 327, 325, something like that. It was quite high for normalized. The actual power that I held was 291 for 23 minutes, 21 minutes, something like that. So it was a big effort. All right, so here we go. This is where I'm going to make my move, and it is a, I don't know, decent. I was coming through here with a ton of momentum, ton of speed. Figured, hey, we'll just fly off the front here and go see what happens to get blocked right here, but decide to keep going. Let's just keep on going. So I pull away, pull through the gap, and then I'm just going to absolutely bury it for a minute here. See what happens. I figured, it's been kind of a really clumped up race. Nobody has really gotten off the front. Let's see if we can get a group of 3 to 5 people to hopefully get away and just make something happen. That was my hope. Let's make something happen. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. I had one person come with me who ended up winning the race, super strong. I think his name was Austin DeRosa. But he was an absolute animal. He's going to pull up past me here in a second and be like, hey, man, you want to work? And I'm like, yeah, let's work. But I have no staying power. Like, again, I'm a punchy rider. I can break away, but then I cannot sustain that breakaway. I've got to have short efforts and then, recovery. And that's not...
Down to work.
Here he goes. So, yeah, this dude just, look at his legs. Look at this guy's legs. I'm envious. He looks like a freaking good cyclist. And he is. The guy's freaking fast. So, Austin, if you ever end up watching this video, I hope it's not weird that I'm complimenting your legs, but dude, you destroyed me. So yeah, I think we ended up getting a little bit of time, not a whole lot, but we definitely got 4 or 5 seconds probably on the field, and then we stayed away for at least a lap before getting caught again. So my heart rate, if you check that out, we're at 172 beats per minute. 175, 176, that is where I start to implode. It's nuclear level. We're going to have a meltdown. Once we get to that range, anything that happens after 175, 176 beats per minute is going to be very, very short-lived. That is not a sustainable place for me. I can probably hold 168 beats per minute for 5 to 10 minutes at time, but definitely not for another 3 laps of racing. That's just not going to happen. That's not how I do things. This Austin dude, though, I bet you he could hold it all day.
4 more laps, I think. I think it's too long. You might.
So he comes around me, says, how many laps we got to go? And I'm like, 3 or 4. And he thinks he can hold it. And I'm like, hell no. That's not going to happen, my man. They are starting to close in just a little bit. Not a ton. But they are getting a little bit closer. And yeah, I can't hold 350 to 400 watts for another 10 minutes, which is what we need to do.
Cut.
So at that point, I am spent. That was a lot of effort on my part. And more or less, that's the race. So we got 2 laps to go starting now. And I go back to just absolutely shit positioning. So end up getting I think 15th place for this week. Not great at all. See, like all through that corner right there, I was pushing 400 watts, even right here. Dude, just accept going back to 10th wheel and sit in the draft and be patient. I don't know why I can't do that. And I'm not even in the draft right here. Like, I am all weirdly off to the side. Got 2 guys going for a quick little break up the road. I don't think that anything materializes from that. I'm pretty sure he gets pulled back immediately. A third guy that's trying to bridge up. There's Bradbury being super patient, sitting in that 10th or so position and just eating it up. Proud of you, Jason Bradbury. You make that reunion kit look great. So that three-man group does have a small gap up the road. Whew. Pushing up to 800 watts around that corner just to stay in contact. That's That's an effort. And I'm starting to do the dangle. So again, my normalized power for the race, probably 322, 325. I think it was one of those two, according to my Garmin. And then my actual power average for this race was 291. So that was a big effort for me. My FTP for 20 minutes is 295, maybe 300 at most. Somehow I lost a wheel there, and I'll let these guys pull me back together. There's a guy right there in front of me. That's Rusty Fausick, and he is on a gravel bike, just absolutely embarrassing me. Well done, Rusty. The only reason I know any of these names is because they come out and race the DFW series stuff with us, and so otherwise I would have no clue who any of these folks are. But Rusty started racing with us at the Winter Series. Bradbury has raced with us for years. What's his name? The other reunion guy Greg Poe. He's been racing with us for years. Used to race with Rockwall Cycling. Now he's on Reunion, but I've known him for quite a while. Thanks to my boy, Steven Puskas, the general manager over there at Play Try Rockwall. So this is our final lap that we are coming in for the win. And you can see we got two guys way off the front, another two that are trying to bridge, and then our group. So things have definitely split here in the final lap. I am doing everything I can just to hang on. I'm not doing a great job of it either. Congrats to the lady here in the Velo South jersey next to me. She is going to end up beating me. There is no embarrassment on my part being beat by a girl. She was killing it. So, well done, ma'am. But yeah, I just really had nothing left by the time we got to this final turn, and I didn't have much to really sprint for, so I just rolled it in. Again, super disappointing week. I thought I absolutely sucked. But you can't win them all, and you can't have a massive improvement every week, and I don't know if I made a huge mistake.
I've made a huge mistake.
Trying to go for that, 3 to 5 man breakaway and only getting one person to go with me, or if that was a good thing to do. I don't know enough yet, but I'm glad I tried it. Every week I get to try something different, and that's what they say these are for, is, practice, practice, practice. But anyway, until later, this has been another Race Local recap at Turbo Velo in Richardson, Texas at Breckenridge Park. We'll see you again on the next race.